Oh, it automatically tweets for me.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the comment section. On Haps TV, I'm your host, Shivani Prasad. I'm very excited to have you here for this episode with my friend, Jeffrey Doucette. On the comment section, we debunk, explain, review, and answer questions about comments left by people on your favorite social channels. Are these comments true? Should they be making you question your beliefs? Well, we talk to experts to get you the answers that you need. So thank you so much for joining us today on the comment section. Oh, I don't know why it's not playing. Give me 1 second. You know what? Don't worry about the intro video, guys. It's all good. We don't need to play it today. So we're going to talk about today's topic. So it's basically going to be, we're going to talk about a lot of different things because this encompasses a lot of different things, but we're going to talk about Ontario's second state of emergency and its effects on small businesses. So on December 26th, the government issued another lockdown, and on January 14th, another state of emergency and stay-at-home order. Premier Doug Ford announced a small business support grant up to $20,000 for struggling businesses. And here to talk to me about this today is my friend Jeffrey Doucette. Jeffrey is the co-founder and CEO of Thrive Career Wellness Platform. Thrive provides software to help individuals advance their careers and is located in Toronto, Canada. Jeffrey founded Thrive 5 years ago, and presently the product is used by over 100 companies in 8 different countries. So I'm just going to click Jeff into the show right now. There you are. How's it going?
I am doing well. How are you doing?
Good, thanks. So let's talk about these comments that we saw. Well, I'll just go through actually first. This was the announcement. Ontario declares second provincial emergency to address COVID-19 crisis and save lives. That was from the Office of the Premier. And then something Jeff and I are also going to talk about is that BlogTO reported just 2 days ago that the Ontario government says the lockdown will likely last longer than expected. What does that, mean for all of these different businesses? So the tweets that we're going to be talking about today are actually comments from the Premier's first tweet. Good morning, Ontario. I want to thank everyone who's been staying at home these last few weeks. I know it's tough, but we're starting to see our hard work pay off. In case some of you need a reminder, I've tried my best to be clear. Please stay at home. So of course, there were a lot of comments about this. The first one we're going to talk about right here says, I've tried my best to be clear. Please stay at home. Oh, and small businesses, you get nothing. Please continue to remain closed, to drown in debt and eventually go away. Big box stores, continue with your unsanitary policies and infecting the population. And the second one we're going to talk about, clear as mud. Stay home, but go to work because there's no paid sick days, and shop so businesses, except those with lobbyists, don't go under, and unless you're a party friend. Rules don't apply to you either. Plus, I've protected for-profit LTCs. I don't know what the next word means. I think it means like xenophobes. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But not students. Got it. So that's really what we're going to be discussing today. Normally, I try to get comments from both sides, but there really were not a lot of other sides here. Ontarians are pissed. Small business owners are pissed. And I think they have good reason to be. So Jeff, let's talk about the first comment. It says small businesses, you get nothing. But Ford did announce this small business support grant. So what do you think this person is referring to? And do you think that this small business grant is enough for small businesses? And what has your experience been like as a small business owner?
Yeah. So, I think there's a lot there. I will say my business has been fortunate in the sense that we haven't had the devastating impact on our top line that a lot of other businesses, particularly those that rely on seeing their customers face to face every day, face. But that being said, I think it's been clear throughout this entire pandemic that while the government's been offering a lot of support or saying they're offering a lot of support for the small businesses, the support does not ever come close to the impact that it's having on their bottom line, right? And so they aren't protecting the livelihoods of small businesses. We've seen like tens of thousands of restaurants across the country shut down, and so the government support is never going to to help keep these businesses afloat. Like that, I think that's the bottom line. And I think a lot of people are angry because at the same time you will read that Canada's wealthiest people are getting richer throughout this pandemic, and that's because it's companies that are publicly traded, Fortune 500 companies that are allowed to stay open, and it's small businesses that are being impacted. And I think that this is I think I was on your show I think a couple months ago, and this is a pandemic that is drastically driving increased income inequality due to the public policy decisions, even when they are in the best interest of they may be in the best interest of public health. People are feeling this differently, and it's not spread out across evenly across all Ontarios and all Canadian residents.
Well, I think too, we've been hearing in many ways, is it in the best interest of public health? Because sometimes, public health also means the economy because that affects people's
Yeah,
health. And we saw, like, for example, in our last show that you were on, we talked about that there are really a lot of safe ways that a lot of these small businesses can stay in business, but it seems like they're just trying to say, okay, what's the easiest thing to do to stop mobility?
yeah,
But I don't know if they're really thinking about the long term consequences, like you said,
yeah,
grant or not, it's
yeah.
not gonna make up for it, right?
For sure. And like every decision has trade offs. I was reading a really sad article the other day about the Children's Hospital of Eastern Ontario, which is the Children's Hospital in Ottawa. And one of their lead doctors was saying that they have never seen this much poorly treated children admitted to the hospital, whether that's from not being fed properly or for domestic violence. It's like they say double or triple a normal rate. We've seen that the domestic violence against women has like over doubled in Canada throughout this pandemic. Overdoses from opioid use and drugs are up, and so decisions have consequences, and decisions that politicians make have impacts. And I think what a lot of entrepreneurs feel is that a lot of these decisions, only one, the decision is not being made with acknowledgement of a lot of these other consequences. And these decisions seem very, very insulated in a way.
And what have you been seeing with, Thrive obviously operates in a number of different countries. What have you been seeing in those different countries in terms of how COVID-19 is affecting their employment, unemployment?
Yeah, so that's a really interesting question, and we're fortunate to see a pretty broad set of economic conditions. And so, just to give context to your viewers, our product operates in Canada. We have a distribution partner in Australia. We have customers in the United States, and we're a fair bit of customers in Europe. And the answer to your question is it's really all over the map. And so, the country that I think did the best job of handling this is Australia. And they had sharp, very hard lockdowns to start COVID. And at the time, talking to my colleagues in Australia, they were really frustrated. Like, you guys are able to go out to dinner. We're locked in. And they did these really brutal lockdowns for 60 days that were actually true lockdowns. Like in Canada,
Right.
we have never done a real lockdown. We are not in a lockdown right now.
Mhm.
Like it is an abbreviated stay-at-home order. It's not a lockdown. Whereas in Australia, they were in true lockdowns. The it was everyone in the economy felt it the same way. They were told to stay at home, and now they're going to sporting events. They're
Mhm.
they're going to concerts. They defeated COVID, and their economy has come roaring back. When I look at the impact of it, I think it is a lot easier to sustain as a population. A brutal 30 to 45-day lockdown that is no doubt going to be miserable than 10 months of shit,
Mhm.
which is where we're at, right?
Mhm.
Prolonged, unending shit that is difficult to deal with a lack of clarity as to when things will get better. And so you really see that. That said, on the other side, a lot of our European partners are really in the same boat as us.
Right.
So this is not unique to Canada. it's not unique to Doug Ford. People who hate Doug Ford might think that, Canada, Ontario is doing the worst job. We're just doing just as bad as a job as a lot of governments.
Mhm.
And it's really too bad to see.
Yeah. Well, let's look at the second comment here. I'll just bring it up just underneath us. I think this is pretty indicative of how a lot of people are feeling. Oh, sorry. Was that the same one I clicked on before?
Nope,
Yeah.
nope. That's the second one.
No. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Yeah. Clear as mud. Stay home, but go to work because there's no paid sick days, etc. I know paid sick days has been a pretty big conversation.
Yep.
It seems to be referring to the fact that there are many contradictions to what the government is saying. So they want people to stay at home. They're not offering paid sick leave. They do want you to shop and support local, but larger companies are like many large companies are lobbying for more support.
Yeah.
Um, they want us to follow rules, but their party friends or those in government don't have to follow those rules. We've seen numerous members of this administration going on vacation to different islands, going to their cottages or leaving, essentially not following a stay-at-home order.
Yeah.
And it does mention the protection for-profit long-term care homes, which we've been seeing a lot of activism around that as well.
Yep.
So there's a lot here, and I think you're in a really unique position. So I would love to know your thoughts on this.
Yeah, so I could spend probably 30 minutes talking about this comment in general, but
Mm-hmm.
the so why don't so I'll give you a good example of how it impacts us as a business. So as I said, we're predominantly we're a digital software company. We have employees across Canada that we've been working remotely for 10 months now. That said, when the government announced that there was a lockdown and you weren't supposed to leave home unless for essential services, we had no idea what we were allowed and not allowed to do. And we should be a very simple case, right?
Right.
And but then at the same time, there's a lot of practical things involved in running a company that we still find ourselves having to go into the office. For example, we have customers, even though we ask them to, they'll still pay us by check.
Mm.
So need to go into the office, need to deposit those checks at the bank. We get payroll information delivered to the office. The government that is telling us to stay at home, they mail checks to you.
Mm-hmm.
You are not allowed to communicate with the CRA via email. And they're telling you to stay at home. So they're sending stuff to our office. We couldn't figure out if we were allowed to go into the office or not. The Ontario government did not say if we were allowed to or not. We ended up following on the federal government's rules that said you could go in the office for payroll, accounting, bookkeeping, all these reasons, but it was not clear. It was as clear as mud, as our friend there said on Twitter.
Right.
And so that's extremely frustrating because we can't even get clarity from the people that are enforcing the rules. Then we take this a step further and we're told that the police is going to be the ones making decisions on the spot, whether that's essential services or not. So we've given we can give our employees letters saying that they're going around. And we're also told, we heard that the prime minister said that he's hiring private security to be going around and checking to see if people are following post-travel quarantining. This is the same prime minister that went to an anti-police protest in July, who is now saying that he wants to hire private security guards. And so, there's just like massive contradictions. And at the end of the day, the trust in government has just plummeted. And that's what I think that this tweet really highlights is like, instead of jumping in and talking about it, trust has fallen. There's a global PR firm called Edelman that does a trust survey. And actually, globally now, in Canada as well, people trust companies more than they trust government. Government trust has fallen. And that's a really sad thing. But people have lost confidence in government. And even when it might be the right decision, trust has fallen so far that I think the government's is having a really hard time getting buy-in from any of their citizens.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really difficult to move past this federally, provincially as well. It's, like you said, a difficult situation. Not our politicians are not the only ones facing it. Like you said, there are definitely anyone who's in office right now is it's very difficult.
Yeah.
However, yeah, I think it's this is a test of, you know, do you know what you're doing?
Yeah.
Are you listening? Are you being clear? I think that what's really, really difficult, not just for small businesses, but also for parents with children, it's like we make a decision and we roll it back. We make a decision, we roll it back.
Yeah.
It's never like it's just never moving forward in a linear way, which I think is just it's so frustrating.
Yeah,
So
and you can't plan, and you can't plan on anything. I think the number one thing that companies need is plan to be able to make decisions and plan on them, and no one can do that right now. And so it's very challenging.
well, one thing I wonder is if, when this pandemic happened, I was mostly in New York
Yeah,
for March and April. And what I noticed, and something that really always stuck with me, was when, Dr. Fauci would always be on the news and he would say, when you think you're on track with this virus, you're 2 weeks behind. And
yeah.
I often wonder if the Canadian government, federally and provincially, thinks of it that way, because it doesn't seem like they do. And we always seem to be making decisions and then pulling back all the time.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, at the end of the day, people can blame politicians a lot, but I think what we've also learned is that a lot of our government organizations are not set up for success or to even do their job very well. And like, for example, last week, the Ontario government announced that they had misreported the number of people they were vaccinating. Like
Yeah.
they misreported it. Like that shouldn't be happening.
Yeah.
Like that seems like a fairly important part to running a vaccination program, which is counting the number of people that you vaccinate. And like again, we can harp on the politicians, but like Doug Ford is not responsible necessarily for counting vaccinations. Like there should be people running the vaccination program, and like I just genuinely want to know what they do when they go to work every day. If they're having a hard time like calculating this stuff,
Yeah.
like, people should be fired. These government departments, I think, I think there's a really big role that government needs to play in Canadian society. I wouldn't consider myself a libertarian or someone that thinks that there should not be government, but I'm very frustrated with the quality of our government and our public service. And I think that's what a lot of people are feeling, because they, no longer really believe that the government is going to do a very good job in protecting the public health of their citizens.
Yeah, and I think it's sometimes when we compare ourselves to the US, a lot of times we think, well, if we're doing better than them,
Yeah.
a lot of people think that that's good enough, and realistically, it's not. We're
No.
still seeing so much happen, and at the end of the day, we're very different countries in so many ways. So we can't compare it that way. We have to
No.
compare
No.
us against us at this point, and
And
we're not winning.
and if we want to compare ourselves to the United States on vaccinations, they're like beating us tenfold.
Mhm.
Like, so, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, the Donald Trump administration, which I think was like an awful government, had a vaccination program that was rolling out more vaccines than Canada when he left office. And that's awful. It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
These guys don't even believe in the virus, and they are vaccinating more people than us. And so like it's really sad.
Yeah, let's talk about the future. Just moving forward, though, what do you think we should do as someone who, you don't really have, like you said, you're in sort of a unique position. What do you think we should do to protect small businesses moving forward? And what is, like, I know you've already said, really small businesses want the opportunity to plan.
Yeah.
So I know this question may be difficult because you may not have the opportunity to plan right now, but what is the plan for Thrive? I'm just going to repeat that because I added things to it, but what do you think we should do to protect small businesses moving forward, and what is the plan for Thrive?
Well, I think, again, so what's been shocking that we also haven't done is we have no, rapid testing. We have no, rollout strategy. And so we, even once we get into a vaccinated world, where we start to have more of our population vaccinated, not everyone's going to have the vaccine right away. Governments, I think, are going to have a hard time getting everyone to get vaccinated. But companies need to have the ability to test their employees and ensure that people coming to work aren't carrying the virus. I saw
Mhm.
yesterday that a number of major employers in Canada are taking this into their own hands, and they're starting to organize rapid testing programs. These are like employers representing like 300,000 employees. It's an initiative driven by the University of Toronto Creative Destruction Lab, and like that needs to be in place for employers. Like employers need to understand how they can implement rapid testing. How can we make testing available? How can we safely open our businesses? Because we can't be dealing with this like flux of until like 100% of the population is vaccinated, because that could be 18 to 24 months from now, right? I
Mhm.
think, and like we need direction from governments. We need to understand how to implement that. Rapid testing is available. A lot of areas in the world are doing it, but we are not doing any rapid testing in Canada. It's not perfect. It's not the same as a nose swab, but it can give people a lot better peace of mind to start, rolling the economy out. So like that's, I think, the question. The answer is until we get a full vaccination program running, as employers, there needs to be a way to test and monitor the virus in real time than there is right now. And that's like, I think, the only option.
Yeah, and so are you guys basically just waiting for that to happen?
Yeah, we are not, Air Canada, so we don't necessarily have the resources at our disposal to start looking at doing rapid testing, but we would certainly welcome it. And I think then, as well, like that's employers also need some guidelines for that, right? Because as an employer, you have a lot of, there's a lot of legal risks right now. You can't tell your employees to do certain things. You can't tell people to come back into the office or travel for work or all of that. And we are going to deal with a lot of gray areas over the next 18 to 24 months. And employers need that direction, because ultimately there's a lot of liability on our end. I read like there's, and so that's I think what needs to happen.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thanks so much for your insight, Jeff. We're so happy to have you on the show as usual. I'm just going to pop up on here your social media handles for you and for Thrive. Oopsies. Sorry. There we go.
No problem.
So it's Jeffrey underscore Doucette and at Thrive My Career for Thrive on Twitter. Go ahead and give Jeff and his company a follow. And I hope we'll be able to have you on again. I hope it won't be for a third lockdown
Yeah,
conversation.
I know. Maybe next time we'll be able to do this in person.
Yeah, maybe. Well, have a good night, Jeff. Thank you so much.
All right, I'll talk to you later. See
Thanks.
ya. Bye.
Don't forget, you can always send in any comments that you want us to discuss on the show by DMing me on any platform. The comment section will be live every Saturday or Sunday. We're changing it up now. We're trying to see which day and what time slot's going to work better for us. So just keep posted with I'll do an upcoming post on HAPS, and I'll always announce the time that we're going to be on right here on HAPS TV. Thanks for joining us from Mississauga, Ontario. I'm Shivani Prasad. Have a great day, everyone.